In this video, we will mask off the building in preparation for retexturing it. In particular, I want to experiment with a different siding material and see what that would look like. So I need to begin masking off all of the siding, and we'll do that in two steps. First, we'll create a vector mask that will establish the boundaries of this scope of work. And then secondly, we'll create a layer mask which more precisely isolates the siding from all of the rest of the image. So let's begin in postoffice1.psd by selecting the pen tool. On the options bar, select Path Mode. And then click a point right here at the top of the wall, and then click another point down below here. You don't need to be too careful. We just need to establish a rough scope of work area where we have siding. I just need to make sure that all of the siding is in this boundary. So I'm going to work my way around, clicking a few more points, and I'm going to be careful to include all of this white painted area up here on the wall surface itself. And as I come around, I'm going to bring the cursor back to the initial point and notice that a circle appears indicating that the path can be closed if I click there. I'll go ahead and click to close the path. Then make sure Retouched is selected in the Layers panel and click Add a Layer Mask, and click it again to add a vector mask. Toggle off the background layer and you can see the result. We've essentially cut away everything outside of this boundary on this particular layer. Let's turn the background back on. The next step is to establish a layer mask. Double-click on the layer mask thumbnail to open the Properties panel. Then click Color Range. Move this dialog box out of the way if need be. You can click a point inside the building, and you can see right here in this preview that it is selecting pixels around that point. I need to click this tool to add to the sample, and then I'm going to drag over the image over the siding area. And as I do that, more and more of the siding is highlighted in the preview. I'm going to pan over here and continue adding the colors from the siding that I paint over to the selection. I'm going to be really careful not to paint over the flag or the yellow trim on the window. I'm just going to paint over all of these colors here on this particular wall. Then I'm going to go around on this side and paint over here as well. And this is going to add all of these whites and grays into the selection. I'm going to paint down here as well. Try to capture all of that information. And then you can use these sliders to limit the range of what is being selected. So you're going to have to just visually judge that. In this case, I think about 5% looks good. And then fuzziness is another way of increasing the amount that would be selected. So you can see from the preview image that we need a pretty low fuzziness value if we're going to select the siding. So I'll leave it like that and click OK. That creates a layer mask. To see that, you can toggle off the background layer and you can see better what you've created there. The next step is to refine this by double-clicking on the mask and clicking on Mask Edge. This opens up the Refine Mask dialog box. Let's try shifting the edge so that we have a larger selection. And we will also increase the radius slightly and then check Smart Radius. Let's just experiment with these parameters a little bit. This makes it blurry. if we want it a little bit blurry, that captures more of the siding, and then we'll harden it up by increasing contrast. So we're getting more and more of the siding in this selection. I'll click OK, and we have an even better selection. However, there are some things over here that I don't want to have selected, namely this railing and this sign. So I'm going to zoom in here a little more. There's some other objects here that aren't part of the siding, but they're also white or gray. So with the layer mask targeted, I'll use the paintbrush tool, and I'll paint in black to remove certain areas from this mask. These areas clearly aren't part of the siding. They're mistakenly selected. Down here also there's a float that doesn't belong. This railing can be removed. Now we could get this railing by painting, or we can be more accurate with the vector mask. Let's try another approach. Let's use the pen tool, and we'll use exclude overlapping shapes mode. Now I'm going to click some points here and just draw a rectangle around this to remove it. And likewise for this sign up here, I'm going to click some points to remove that from my vector mask. Then I can refine that here with the direct selection tool. I can select a point and use the arrows on the keyboard to nudge those handles if necessary. So this is a way of removing hard-edged objects like the sign and the railing. And you can also use the soft-edged approach on the layer mask thumbnail, and then you use the paintbrush to remove areas that have a softer edge just by painting over them. So you can use these two techniques together to converge upon a selection here which represents all of the siding. I'll turn the background back on. But now we've properly masked the siding in preparation for retexturing.